We aim to bring you clarity here, but we are getting conflicting messages from the U.S. and Iran when it comes to efforts to end the war. The White House insists talks are ongoing, but Iran's state-owned Press TV says the regime has rejected a list of 15 points sent by the Trump administration. Yesterday, Iran's foreign minister said Tehran does not intend to negotiate, but he acknowledged messages had been exchanged through intermediaries. President Trump had this explanation for the contradicting statements.
They are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us.
CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now from our D.C. bureau with some of the details behind all this confusion. Aaron, good morning. The AP is reporting that Tehran has sent its own list of a 5-point proposal with things like reparations for the damage the U.S. has done. But President Trump is saying talks are continuing. Tehran denies that. So what is the word from the White House?
Good morning, Errol. Note, this morning, the president wrote on Truth Social that the Iranian negotiators are, quote, being very different and strange. He said that they are begging to make a deal, have zero chance of a comeback, and he said that them saying that they are only looking at the proposal from the U.S. is wrong. He then added they better get serious soon before it is too late, because once that happens, there is no turning back. And we've seen this before from President Trump when diplomatic talks with Iran seems to go south, where he has suggested it could lead to consequences. Now, during her press briefing yesterday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the talks continue and are productive, despite, as you mentioned, Iran saying publicly that they reject the U.S. proposal. Leavitt also cautioned reporters on elements of that 15-point plan that have been floating around, calling some of those points speculative without clarifying what those are. And you mentioned the counterproposal from Iran. I'll note one of them is about them having autonomous control over the Strait of Hormuz, which is something that President Trump has opposed, as he has floated the idea of the strait being owned jointly.
Meanwhile, Aaron, the war continues to be costly, both through soldiers' lives lost and taxpayer dollars. And last night, President Trump said he doesn't want to call this conflict a war specifically, because he would then need, I guess, congressional approval. Help us understand why that's much more important than just semantics.
Yeah, he would need at least 50% of both the House and Senate in the joint approval in order for a full declaration of war. And he told House Republicans in his remarks last night that he'll instead use the words military operation, though he later in his speech called it a war anyways. We've also heard him say it's a short-term excursion as well. I'll note, too, after a classified Iran briefing on Capitol Hill, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle raised concerns about troop safety, especially given the news about 1,500 troops from the 82nd Airborne Division, which includes ground forces, being headed to the Middle East. Here's what some on Capitol Hill said.
Would you support troops on the ground in Iran on this point?
No, 100%. Crystal clear from the beginning, no. I spent my entire adult life training for war, training other people for war, or at war myself. The answer is no. We can achieve the strategic goals that Donald Trump wants to achieve without doing that.
What exactly is the end state here after 13 American servicemen and women's lives and hundreds of Americans injured, and now billions of American dollars spent? An end state that is worse than where it was before he launched his war of choice. This is an unnecessary, it's an incoherent war that Trump cannot articulate a justification for.
Now, one other House Republican Armed Services Chair, Mike Rogers, told reporters after, quote, "We just wanted them to tell us what's the plan, and we didn't get any answers."
All right, Aaron Navarro in our D.C. bureau. Aaron, thank you. For more on the conflict, let's jump to CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio. He's tracking it all from our London newsroom. So, Ramy, good morning. Great to see you again. You've got these conflicting messages. The White House says talks are happening. Iran says, actually, that's not the case. What is the latest from your point of view?
Absolutely. And before we get to that, Errol, just some breaking news I want to bring to you. We're just getting this right now, that Israel says that the commander of Iran's Navy has now been eliminated. His name is Alireza Tangsiri, and we're hearing from the defense minister, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, saying that he was responsible for the bombing and the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, as we've been saying, hugely important for the flow of oil around the world. They say that he has been, quote, his words, blown up, and that he was targeted in the Iranian port city of Bandar Abbas, meeting with senior commanders there. Kat saying that this is a clear message to all people in the Iranian terrorist organization that the IDF will hunt you down. So that is the latest in terms of what we know in the fighting. We know also that Israel has been reporting more barrages of missiles all morning. At last count, we saw 6 so far. Booms over Jerusalem, sirens over Tel Aviv. And Iran has also been firing missiles and drones at its neighbors. Missiles alerts in Dubai and Bahrain, and air defenses in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the UAE. So another very busy back and forth in the skies over the Middle East. But as for what the U.S. and Iran are saying about talks, getting back to your question, it does feel like an exercise in perhaps semantics about the definition of talks. I mean, what do talks actually mean really here? At the very least, it appears some kind of messaging is going back and forth. President Trump calling this negotiations, and he says Tehran afraid to admit it because he claims that they'll be killed by their own people. But we are hearing from Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi. He was on state TV, and he said the messages are being conveyed through friendly countries. Now, he didn't say which, but based on CBS News reporting over the past several days, that might include Pakistan and or Oman. He also said Iran is responding with positions and warnings, but that this is not, he's calling a negotiation. Whether these talks or not actually are happening or not, remains to be seen, but they have pushed back against that 15-point plan and revealed their own 5-point plan, which for many intents and purposes likely is a non-starter for the U.S.
Yeah, so much happening all at once, Ramy. We appreciate all that reporting up to the minute for us this morning. Ramy, thanks.